With now 20 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies and Wasp being the latest edition of all the heroes in the MCU, I thought it'd be awesome if I came with my ranking of all the MCU heroes. How's it going, Webheads? My name is Ryan Walsh. Today we're going to be geeking out about my ranking of all the heroes that are in the MCU, and I know I've been sitting on this video for a while, but I finally got around to it, but now I really want to get into this ranking because I already did the villains video a little while ago, but now I want to do the heroes one, and there are 38 characters that I'm going to be ranking today, so let's get into number 38. And number 38, I have Lady Sif in the Warriors 3. Now I know there's 4 different characters within number 38, but to be honest with you, I don't really want to rank them all individually. I think it's just easier if I just do them all as a group. And Lady Sif, I think she wasn't even used in Ragnarok, mainly because she just wasn't that strong of a character and she wasn't that cool. But at the same time, the MCU just didn't have the guts to kill her off. Instead, they killed off the Warriors 3, which 2 of them went out really fast, and then Hogan died a brutal death, but all of them really were just really generic warrior characters, just side characters that had no character development, and you just didn't care about them at all. At number 37, I have Maria Hill. I mean, she showed up and she shot some stuff, and that's all she's really done in the MCU so far. At number 36 is Quicksilver. Now, I personally think Quicksilver is an awesome character in the comic books, but as far as the MCU, he was killed off way too fast, no pun intended, in Avengers Age of Ultron. I don't know why they decided to kill Quicksilver off when he only got 1 movie in the MCU. He's a character that you really could have built off of, just like Scarlet Witch. I don't know why they didn't just keep every single Avengers character alive in the movie and then bring them on over to Civil War. I think Quicksilver should have been one of the characters that moved on. At number 35, I have the original Guardians. Now, the original Guardians only showed up for a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and I thought it was pretty cool to see them, but that's all it really was. It was just a little cameo, and that's all we really got to see from them so far. Hopefully, we get to see a lot more in the future. At number 34, I have the Howling Commandos. Now, the Howling Commandos were in the Captain America, the first Avenger, and I really like these characters. I thought they were good supporting characters, but that's all they really were. Just supporting heroes, nothing really major. At number 33, I have Wong. Now, Wong is a pretty cool character. He's not in a lot of the MCU, but what we saw from him in Doctor Strange in Infinity War, he definitely proved that he can hold his own in a fight, and also I think he's pretty cool, but most of the time he's just used for comedic elements, and that's all he's really there for. At number 32, I have Korg and Meek. Now, by far, one of the funniest parts of Thor Ragnarok was Korg. I love the character Korg. He was so awesome. And then Meek, unfortunately, I expected a lot more from that character just because of what he played in the Planet Hulk comic book. But now seeing him in the MCU, he really just doesn't do anything but just sit there and kind of throw his knives around. That's all he does. He doesn't really do anything amazing. Korg is really just a big character. I just kind of attached Meek to Korg because I honestly thought they just both go together. At number 31, I have Mantis. Mantis, honestly, is just one of those side characters in the Guardians. I'm surprised she's even there. She really doesn't do much except for in the battle on Titan in Infinity War. I was very impressed with what she was doing, and she's able to hold back Thanos, and also she was able to hold back in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Ego the Living Planet. I think that's pretty impressive, but unfortunately she's just used a lot for comedic elements, and that's really all she's there for. Number 30, I have Drax. Now, Drax, I personally think in the first movie he was used perfectly. I loved everything about Drax. He was awesome. He was Drax the Destroyer. But then as time went on with Volume 2 and Infinity War, he just sat there. He didn't do anything. He's just used for comedic elements, and personally for me, being a fan of Drax in the comic books, that's a complete betrayal of his character. That's just not who he is. He definitely can be used for comedic elements like he was in the first movie, but honestly, they just went all in on the comedic elements for Drax and didn't have him fighting at all. At number 29, I have Vision. Now, Vision suffers a lot like Drax does in the MCU, where I feel as though in Age of Ultron, Vision was used perfectly. I loved everything about that character. But then, when you bring him on over to Civil War and Infinity War, he doesn't do anything. He really is just one of those characters that just sits on the sideline and he doesn't do anything. When you really just hype him up in Age of Ultron to be this god with an Infinity Stone and he can hold Thor's hammer, and then you don't even use him in the battle in Civil War. All he does is literally just help out Black Panther and then take down a tower trying to stop Captain America, which eventually fails. And I just don't think he's used properly in that movie. And then in Infinity War, he's completely injured in the first act of the movie, and he doesn't do anything else throughout the whole movie. He did kill Corvus Glaive, but he barely killed him. It was just useless at that point. I mean, he's still an android, he's supposed to be a god, but I think they could do so much more with this character. Number 28, Hawkeye. Now, out of all the original Avengers, Hawkeye is definitely the one they put right to the side, and they're like, nope, it doesn't matter. Hawkeye is just kind of there. He doesn't really matter at all. And that's just something that I really didn't like about Hawkeye. In the comic books, if you look at the character, he's an awesome character, and a lot of the time he's the one saving the Avengers team, and they just don't use him that way in the movies. They just sideline the character just like Vision and Drax, and I feel like they could do so much more with Hawkeye. He's such a cool character, and I hope in Avengers 4 they really redeem that character, because he's very cool and he could definitely do a lot more than what he's doing right now. Number 27, I have the Ancient One. Now the Ancient One did play a big part in Doctor Strange, and really just the first shot of that movie, when you see the Ancient One just come out and try to stop Caecilius and his zealots, I loved seeing her actually completely take them all out. She was a complete badass in that movie, and I loved everything about the character. She was really cool, and I know a lot of people got really mad that the actor portraying the Ancient One wasn't an old Asian man. Instead, it was a middle-aged female, but I personally thought it was really cool. I thought she was done really well in the movie, and I did not mind her being a female at all. And number 26, I have War Machine. Now, War Machine was one of the original superheroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, coming in Iron Man 2. That Iron Man 2, they did a pretty good job with them. I loved everything about him. But then after that, they didn't do anything with War Machine until Age of Ultron, and even then I didn't think he was used well at all. He just kind of was used for 5 minutes. And then when he came in Civil War, I thought they changed his character around a lot, where he's really posing as a threat against all the other Avengers. And in Infinity War, I thought the same thing. He was taking out a lot of that Outrider army, and I thought he's used really well. At number 25, I have Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie was a huge part of Thor Ragnarok, and I thought she was an awesome character. Super funny, but at the same time, she was really cool, and she actually could hold her own against a lot of other characters. Even Thor, I feel like she could battle Thor. She probably wouldn't win, but she was pretty powerful as well, and I did like how they used her in that movie. Number 24, Shuri. Shuri was one of the best parts of Black Panther by far. I loved her character. I love how she's the same age as Peter Parker, but at the same time, she's smarter than Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, Hank Pym, all those characters, and she is working with Vibranium, and she's the one behind all the new Wakanda weapons and the new Black Panther suit, and I hope she really becomes the next Black Panther in the Black Panther franchise. Number 23, Yondu. Yondu is an awesome character by far, one of my favorite in the MCU. I really like what they did with him in the first Guardians, where he was a space pirate basically, and he was just going around and he was trying to hunt down Peter Quill, but then bringing it on over to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I loved how they used him in that movie. I thought it was perfectly well done, and it really developed a lot of the character. Number 22, Heimdall. Heimdall is one of the original characters within the MCU, and not a lot of people probably consider him a hero, but I personally do, because I think he's done a lot. When you look at him in, say, the original Thor movie, or Thor the Dark World, or even Infinity War or Ragnarok, he does a lot to help out Asgard, so he's pretty powerful if the only one able to kill him was the most powerful being in the entire universe. Number 21, I have the Wasp. Now, the Wasp was just recently added, and I think she's going to have a lot more to do in the future MCU movies, but I put her on number 21 mainly because we didn't get to see a lot of her, but she still was an awesome character. I loved everything they did with Hope, and I really want to see a lot more from her in future movies. Number 20, I have Falcon. Now, Falcon is the second sidekick to Captain America, and I feel like he does a lot in the MCU, where he does a lot more when he's not in the suit, but then when he's actually in the suit and he's fighting a bunch of people, he doesn't do a whole lot. He's not very powerful. I feel like they could do a lot more with them. There are some points where he is doing some pretty awesome things, pretty cool things fighting, but majority of the time he's just used as a backup character, and that's probably all he ever will be. Number 19, I have Agent Coulson, and the reason I put Agent Coulson in number 19 is because I miss that character so much. I loved him in the original Avengers movie, in Thor, in Iron Man 2. I loved everything about him. He was an amazing character, and I love how he was the one to bring all the Avengers together in the end. Number 18, I have Okoye. And Okoye was an awesome character in Black Panther, probably the biggest standout in my opinion, mainly because I just really liked how she struggled between doing her duty as a Dora Milaje soldier, and she was loyal to the throne when Killmonger took over, but sometimes she couldn't really go through with it because she wanted to help out T'Challa and his family, and she did not want to be loyal to the throne, but that was her duty, and she definitely is one of those characters that stays by her duty. But at the same time, when T'Challa came back, she did side with him and then try to take down Killmonger with all the other Dora Milaje characters. At number 17, I have Nebula. I feel like Nebula has come a long way, where I don't really consider her that much a villain anymore, more of a hero now. Obviously, with Avengers 4 coming out and what we saw in Infinity War and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, she's definitely more of a hero now, mainly because she's joining up with the Avengers to take down Thanos, but she's a very complicated character, and I like how she has that relationship with Gamora and Thanos, where she wants to kill Thanos because he just tortured her for all those years. But then Gamora, it's like a love-hate relationship with Gamora though, where she hated that Gamora really just was winning all the time, and she just wanted a sister. She didn't want to get tortured all the time. Instead, Gamora really just got out clean and just beat her every single time while Nebula was getting tortured. But at the same time, she still loves Gamora because she knows what that environment was like and how you had to win or else you'd get tortured. So I really like what they're doing with the character, and I can't wait to see what they do in Avengers 4 because I have a feeling they have a big part for her in that movie. Number 16, I have Nick Fury. Nick Fury is one of the background characters, but he is such an awesome character from the first Iron Man movie when he shows up in that end credits scene all the way up to what we see now, and I can't wait to see him in Captain Marvel as a younger Nick Fury because I think he's going to have a lot to play in that movie, and I like how he really is just the first leader of the Avengers, where he does bring those characters together a lot like Coulson, but he's basically telling them what to do and how to inspire each and every one of them, and how he looks after all the original Avengers like Tony Stark and also Steve Rogers. Number 15, I have Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch, from the very first movie that she was in Age of Ultron, I didn't think she was that great of a character in there. I thought she was okay, hated her accent, and they still used the same accent in Civil War, which they finally got rid of in Infinity War, but her character actually has come a long way from what we saw in Age of Ultron, where in Infinity War, she had a lot of character development. I really like her relationship with Vision and how powerful she really is, and she doesn't even understand her full capabilities yet as powers. And I think there's a lot to her in Infinity War that they really brought out, and I think she's a really cool character, and I can't wait to see what they do more with her down the line. Number 14, my favorite sidekick, Bucky. I love what they've done with the Winter Soldier and Bucky overall in his arc just within the MCU. Going from being the best friend to Captain America and looking out for Steve Rogers in Captain America the First Avenger, then going into the Winter Soldier and being completely brainwashed. This character has been through hell and back, and now he's still fighting in Infinity War, and I think they're just doing a great job with this character. I think he developed a lot within Winter Soldier and Civil War, especially Civil War, where it was mainly all about him, and I really like what they've done with the character, and I think he's just one of those MCU characters that really shines. Number 13, I have Gamora. Now, Gamora was an awesome character in all the movies she's been in, and I really like all the development that she's gone through. A lot like Bucky, she kind of has a redemption arc where she has to go and redeem herself from being the deadliest woman in the universe, from being Thanos' mercenary. She has to go and she has to basically just redeem herself and become one of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And she feels a lot like the mom of the group, where she's really just trying to keep everybody on track in that first movie. Second movie, same thing, and then in Infinity War, she has a lot more to do, and I really like how they handled it in Infinity War and how she had that relationship with Thanos where she still does care about him, but at the same time, she knows he's truly evil and she hates him. Number 12, I have Ant-Man. Scott Lang's Ant-Man is hilarious. I love seeing him in all those movies, and I loved seeing him in Civil War where he had a lot to do. I really like everything they're doing with that character. I feel like they can do a lot more with this character going into Avengers 4. I think they really need to put a little bit more of him in the Avengers movies, but for right now, what we've seen so far, super funny character. I love all the actions he's been in. He's an awesome character. Number 11, the master of the mystic arts, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is one of the most mysterious characters in my opinion. I really like how he is a lot like Tony Stark, where he's very cocky, he's very egotistical, but at the same time, the entire Doctor Strange movie, he really has to come to terms where it's not all about him. I love that for his character, and in Infinity War, they really carry over that story arc where he does put himself last, where he has to save the entire universe, he has to save everybody else in the world. It's all about everyone else, it's not about him anymore. And I love how they do that with Doctor Strange. And he's just a super awesome character to look at his fights. When he's fighting Thanos on Titan in Infinity War, I love seeing that battle. He was probably the most entertaining battle that we got to see in that movie, just because of all the cool things that he can do and how different his powers are from all the other Marvel characters. Number 10, Black Widow. Black Widow has been around for a long time in the MCU, and she has come a long way. She has been a huge side character, and it's really just not even a side character anymore. She's like one of the main Avengers, and they could have easily taken Black Widow and just pushed her aside like just every other female character in my opinion. But they really took that character and tried to elevate her in every single movie. Where in Iron Man 2, she didn't really have a lot to do. We just found out she was with S.H.I.E.L.D. and she was just really experienced in fighting. But then when you see in her in Avengers, they dig a little bit deeper into her character. In Age of Ultron, they dig even deeper into her character. And then it just keeps going throughout all the films. Now she's one of the main Avengers, and she's one of the characters that I personally care the most about. if she actually died in the movies, I personally would be genuinely sad because I really am attached to this character. I think she's really cool and I love everything they're doing with her. Number 9, I have Groot. Now Groot has gone through a lot of changes over the last couple of years that he got introduced, where he was fully Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy, then he became Baby Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and now Teenage Groot in Infinity War, and now we don't even know what's going to happen because he died again. And I never thought they would get me to care so much about a character that is just complete CGI, and all he says is, "I am Groot." I never thought I'd get that invested into a character like this, but I really have. I think he's such an awesome character. Number 8, I have Black Panther. Black Panther is one of the most badass characters in the entire MCU, especially in Civil War. I think nothing has topped what he could do in Civil War. When he showed up in that movie, you knew who he was. You knew he was a threat to every single Avenger. Really just showing up and just being like, I'm gonna go after Bucky and you're not gonna stop me. And he didn't care who these other heroes were, if they were Avengers or not. He did not care. He was going after Bucky and it was his mission, and he did not care about anybody else. T'Challa is just one of those characters that I really think is going to stick around for a very long time, and I think he's going to be one of the most memorable characters in the MCU. Number 7, I have the Hulk. Now, the Hulk has definitely had different iterations where Edward Norton did the Incredible Hulk, and then now we have Mark Ruffalo doing all of the other Hulk movies. I love what they've done this character. He's definitely one of those characters that could come off as super boring, and they can make Hulk extremely corny, but I feel like they haven't done that at all. If anything, they made Hulk even better over the years. He's one of those characters that have fully developed throughout all of these movies, and I like what they're doing with them, especially with Thor Ragnarok, where they had him actually talking to Thor in that movie, and they made it extremely funny, and it came across extremely well because that's exactly what Hulk would do in the comic books. He still could talk, but he would talk like an idiot, so that's what they did in the movie, and they just balanced it really well. Number 6, I have Star-Lord. Star-Lord is one of the biggest characters in the MCU, in my opinion. He is the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. He was that character. If they got him wrong in Guardians of the Galaxy, they wouldn't have had a movie. He was the most crucial character in that entire movie because he was going to be carrying that franchise. Chris Pratt did a great job playing him, and I really like where they're going with Star-Lord as a character. He's definitely flawed, especially what you saw in Infinity War, where he was one of the main reasons that they lost and Thanos snapped his fingers and killed half the life in the universe, because it shows you that he's extremely human. He has feelings, and that just makes him a lot more of a relatable character. Number 5, of Rocket Raccoon. A lot like Groot, I didn't think I could care so much about a CGI gun-toting raccoon. I love Rocket Raccoon, definitely one of my favorite characters in the entire MCU. Absolutely loved everything they were doing with him in the first Guardians. Thought he was the biggest standout in that movie. Guardians 2, one of the biggest standouts again. In Infinity War, he does it again. Like, you just can't beat Rocket Raccoon. In my opinion, he's just the best Guardian that they've shown on screen, and I love him actually interacting with Thor, and I can't wait to see what they do with them in Avengers 4. I'm so happy they kept them around for that movie. Number 4, I have Spider-Man. Spider-Man definitely has gone through a lot of movies, but within the MCU, I feel like they nailed the character more so than any other movie franchise has done with him, where they really just get down to knowing who Peter Parker is, why he's doing exactly what he's doing, without even giving you the origin of Spider-Man. They finally didn't give an origin, but at the same time, I feel like this is the most authentic Spider-Man that we've gotten in all of the movies, where Tom Holland just kills it because he actually has really funny quips throughout the whole movie where it's not super corny like Andrew Garfield. And they show you exactly how powerful he is and how he can take on all the other Avengers, and I love all the new suits that they're doing with him. Finally, we're getting a ton of Spider-Man suits other than just the classic one that we always see. I want to see a ton of Spider-Man suits, and I can't wait to see what we get more from him in the future. And number 3, of Tony Stark, Iron Man. From the first Iron Man movie all the way up to this point in Infinity War, I can't believe how far this character has gone. When you see him in the first Iron Man movie, it's such a small movie where he's really just fighting one other guy, and now we're seeing him in Infinity War fighting Thanos and all the Black Order, and he's going into space. He really has just come a long way. In a lot of ways, he's really just the head of the MCU. He just kind of is the father figure of the entire MCU. He is the one that started it all. He was the first hero, and I love what they do with the character. I love the entire redemption story they had within the first movie that made everybody fall in love with him. He's super funny, always has some of the funniest lines in all these movies, and whenever you see Tony Stark on screen, he just always shines. He's always just one of the best characters. Number 2, I have Thor. Now, Thor would have been a lot lower on my list if I didn't see Thor Ragnarok or Infinity War at this point. If I didn't see those movies, he would have been way lower than this. but really put him up there just because what they do with him in Ragnarok was so amazing, and I love how they really just changed the entire Thor character. And then I love what they did with him in Infinity War, getting the Stormbreaker hammer and really becoming the God of Thunder, where you didn't really think he was that powerful in the other movies. He was powerful, but he wasn't as powerful, say, as like the Hulk or even like Thanos. Now he's at that power level, and you really just see what he's gone through. He's had his entire world destroyed. He's had his father killed, his sister killed, his mother killed, his brother killed. Everybody he loves basically has died, but yet he still keeps going. I love what they've done with the Thor character over the last couple of years, and that's why he's in number 2. And number 1, my top character that, in my opinion, is just the heart of the MCU. I love this character so much, and the movies are really what made me love this character even more. Everything that they've done with this character, from the first movie that they had him in all the way up till now, he really is just that leader, and that is Captain America. He is my number 1. I think he is just the entire heart of the MCU. I love how he really just thinks about others instead of himself. I just love the Captain America character so much. I can't say enough about him because he's just amazing. He's definitely one of the best developed characters in the overall MCU. But of course, Webheads, let me know down in the comments what are your favorite MCU heroes. I want to hear it down in the comments below. Of course, definitely consider checking out the playlist for more MCU videos, and for more on just Marvel in general, definitely consider subscribing right over here to Webhead and turning on that bell notification. But Webheads, thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Bye-bye.